Hey everybody, Uncle Rich here for another exciting adventure of Who's Telling the Truth. And guys, today is November 23rd, 2015, and we're 3 days before Thanksgiving. So we still got our Thanksgiving turkey up there, but guys, this is the one reason why I call myself Uncle Rich for this particular week, so that when your uncle comes over to visit you on Thanksgiving and he starts hitting you with all the stuff he heard on Fox News and hate radio, and you sit there like a gentleman, and what are you going to say to him? Come on, guys, what are you going to say to your uncle? Can you be specific and cite your source? And guys, you'll shut them up for the rest of the day. And don't ever forget that. That's why we're here. We question everything. And guys, tonight's show is going to be called Revolution. I know. You're going to say, Rich, you're going to start a revolution, huh? You're going to get it? No. Guys, the revolution has already started. I just want to make sure you don't miss it. That's all. And that's why we're doing this show. Because the revolution is going to be with the social media. That's right. Socialism. That commie word that everybody's so petrified of. That word socialism that most people don't understand what it means. But guys, this is how I found out what's going on with AFT, with the American Federation of Teachers, and what's going on. Judy, why are you running the crawl now? And what's going on. Is the show over already? Hey guys, it's live TV, you know, and that's why Judy doesn't get paid the big bucks. But guys, I was on Facebook, and I don't know what triggered it, but I must have saw the catchword, profits, patience before profits. And the antenna went up, and now it's time to find out who's telling the truth. Now, I'm sure you guys are aware of what's been going on at the hospital. There's been plenty of commercials on TV. Stop the Cuts, the organization that is against Governor Malloy, has been putting out plenty of commercials on Fox, because you guys know I watch a lot of Fox News, but also AFT has been putting out a lot of commercials. So guys, I see one commercial and I think one way, I see another commercial, I think the other way, and I'm saying to myself, who's telling the truth? Well, that's what we're here for tonight. We're going to put the cards on the table, and we're going to try to find out who's telling the truth. Now, the first clip we're going to play tonight, and this is almost embarrassing, because, you know, you think that the people that support Stop the Cuts, with all the money behind them, you know, they're spending all this money on the web and on videos and this and that. You think they would have put their video on YouTube? Nah. They missed out. And guys, this is what's going on. These guys don't get it. They don't understand the social media, and this is why we've got the edge, because we can communicate with each other. And when somebody gives us a load of BS, what do? We stop them dead in their tracks. It's that simple. Why? Because we can Google everything. And we can make sense of everything. We can make the sense out of the nonsense. And tonight, you know, that's what we want to do. Now, the first clip we're going to do, like I said, Stop the Cuts didn't bother to invest in putting their stuff on a YouTube page. So unfortunately, I'm going to show you a clip that I had to take with my phone on my computer. But guys, I want you to listen carefully to the commercial. I want the antenna to go up, and I want to see what questions you would ask after you watch this clip. So Judy, let's have clip number one, please. All right, guys, this is going to seem a little convoluted the way we're doing this, but I couldn't get this off of YouTube, so I got to take it right off my computer. And this is the Stop the Cuts website. And the reason why we went here, I want to play this video.
When your daughter has an asthma attack, when your husband wakes up feeling chest pains, you depend on your hospital to be there. But Governor Malloy wants to balance the budget by cutting $240 million from hospital care, raising hospital taxes to more than $500 million a year. That means longer wait times, fewer cancer screenings, and nurses will be let go. Tell Governor Malloy to stop cutting our hospital care. Lives depend on it.
Okay, so if they would have put this on YouTube, I wouldn't have to go through this antiquated way of trying to get this so you guys could see it. All right, guys, what's the one question you got? Come on, come on. What did they say? That's going to guarantee longer wait times. How is that going to guarantee? Can you prove what you say? Be specific. But you know what? All they want to do is scare the simple folk. That's what the people that don't question. Oh, they're going to make me wait longer, and I won't be able to get cancer screenings. Guys, that's what we're going to find out tonight. So now we're going to play the other clip, the reverse side. And guys, fortunately, Respect for Our Healers was smart enough, and the AFT was bright enough to take advantage of the social media, and they put this on YouTube. So guys, enjoy. Judy, clip number 2, please.
Medical techs and therapists at Danbury and New Milford hospitals are standing up for our community. But instead of a fair contract for these hands-on healers, hospital executives are taking millions in pay for themselves.
We just wanted to make sure that we grow with the hospital, that the services get better for the community.
Tell management it's time to respect these vital caregivers.
Patients before profits.
Patients before profits. Any questions? You know, guys? And they said they're taking millions. The management is taking millions in pay for themselves. And then you say, well, Rich, can you prove that? Absolutely, because that's what we do here. We prove stuff so that people don't walk away and say, wait a minute, how do we know what you're telling us is true? But guys, before we go to the proof, we're going to play another clip. And this is from Governor Malloy, and he's going to defend himself, and he's going to defend the cuts. So, Judy, can we have clip number 3, please?
Hospitals in our state, all but one, are not-for-profit. And as I pointed out to you, they made $1 billion last year in our state. And in many cases, they're paying their chief executives of a not-for-profit corporation substantially more than $1 million, including up to $3 million. And if you look at the top 10 people at hospitals, they're making a lot of money. In fact, the association pays its director. So the association, funded by hospitals, pays its director $800,000 a year. And they're arguing about this. I think healthcare has gotten too expensive. I think we're seeing that on a national basis. I think Republican candidates and Democratic candidates are talking about how healthcare has just gotten too darn expensive. And if you're going to not raise people's taxes, then you have to expect an industry that's making $1 billion a year in your community to trim its sales, or at least not increase what you're giving them so that they can make more money.
Guys, you know me. I think you know me pretty well by now. I'm never going to be a Rhodes Scholar. I'm not even going to make it on the list, but I'm always going to ask questions. And what drives me nuts is, how does a non-profit organization make a profit? Can somebody explain that to me? I mean, because this is counterintuitive. And you know, we're going to have experts on, and when we have the experts on, we're going to go through all this. But guys, you know, you're going to say, Rich, you're going to prove it to us? And guys, absolutely. Judy, could we have still number 4? And guys, this is from the Danbury Hospital. This is their annual report for the fiscal year 2014. Judy, still number 4, please. Okay, there we go. Guys, you could see, there it is in black and white. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can stop the tape, you can snip it. It's as plain as the nose on my face. So the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of Danbury Hospital, has a salary of $1,114,027 and fringe benefits of $59,026, making a total of $1,173,000. Man, I wish I could get a job like that. Look at the VP, the GF, look at them all. I mean, this is almost sinful, the amount of money these guys make. Judy, can you come back to me? Guys, I don't know. Maybe this is par for the course. Maybe it is. I don't know. But you know what? If you want to make that much money, that's fine. That's fine. The main thing is take care of the people that work for you first. Once you pay them a living wage with benefits and you make sure they're secure, you can make as much money as you want. It's simple. But what we got to do is we got to get back. We got to change the business model. And hopefully tonight we can address that. So Judy, let's move to the next still now. And this is going to be, well, I'm surprised that we cut that off because I want to tell you the name of the guy. Oh, there it is. Okay, the author, it's More Hospitals Paid Big Bonuses to Top Executives. And it's written by Don Michak, and it was posted July 6, 2015. And why do I say this stuff, guys? Because it's our source. And this is the one thing that we're concerned about. So we can see more than a dozen executives at Connecticut hospitals have been paid 6-figure bonuses and incentives that in several cases accounted for more than a quarter of the total annual compensation. What? Man, when I work, when I used to give my employees a bonus, it wasn't 1/3 of their compensation, that's for sure. The Journal Inquirer last month reported that Hartford Healthcare, which just announced job cuts. Can you imagine this? They announced, Judy, you got to go back. I don't have this on, but I could probably get it here. Well, I should be reading it from you. The Journal Inquirer last month reported that the Hartford Healthcare, which had just announced job cuts, program changes, and stepped up efforts to achieve efficiencies, had previously paid bonuses and incentive compensation to 18 executives, according to the IRS filing it made last summer. Guys, what could be more credible than the IRS, the one organization you can't get away from? The average bonus, 2 executives who announced the job cuts in a letter to employees, President and CEO Elliot T. Joseph and Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer Jeffrey A. Flax were paid bonuses and incentives of $498,000, $420, and $208,000, $912 respectively. The average bonus was $135,000, or nearly twice the average annual wage for registered nurses in the Hartford region, and nearly 4 times that for nursing assistants. Guys, do we need to know more? I'll tell you what, you see the source, you see where it comes from. Judy, you know what? Can we bring up the next 2 pages just so people can snip them? When they, we'll just bring them up real quick because we want to, this is taking a little bit longer than I thought, and we got these experts here. So guys, what we're going to do is, Judy, you got the two other ones up? Okay. Now, if we can play clip number, this is going to be clip number 9. And while that clip is playing, we're going to do the magic of setting up at the other table, and hopefully everything will go well. So Judy, hit it. All right, guys. How are you? Have you guys met? Okay.
Teachers, public service workers, nurses, and caregivers turned out to march in this year's Newtown Labor Day Parade.
All right. So,
They came to show solidarity with the techs and therapists at Danbury and New Milford hospitals fighting for a strong, fair contract.
lights.
When you show up at Danbury Hospital, everybody knows that it's a multitude of people there helping to make things right for whatever you're there to, for whatever reason you're there. And the techs have been there to help us in our time of need. I've been there myself for emergency room admittance, and they were there for me. And I think it's fitting that they should be able to have a union together with a single voice, and I want to support them any way I can.
With what happened in Newtown, I can tell you that most of the patients were treated there. It was a crisis, and we depend here in Newtown on those workers taking care of us like family.
I was on staff when they were, it actually happened, but it's great to have an unfortunate situation bring people and communities together, because we see how supportive the town has been to their teachers and how everyone was supportive towards us, being the healthcare workers that we're taking care of. And now we're here today and we're all working together to make, our first contract.
I'm born and raised in Danbury, so my family, my friends, the people that I care about goes to this hospital, and I want great health care for them like anyone would want for anyone, so that's why I thought it was imperative that we take some steps to have a voice.
Otherwise, if our LPNs and techs and therapists don't have a voice, they're employees at will, and they have no rights whatsoever. They had a union election that allows them to be represented and have that voice. I worry because 2 years ago, Danbury Hospital threatened a layoff, and they took away shift differentials from these same workers who have just won the right to organize. Management thinks that at 8 o'clock everybody goes to sleep at Danbury Hospital. They think holidays and weekends, people pack up their bags and go homes. I want these people to have the same rights that the Unit 47 nurses have, to be paid to work nights and be away from their families, to be paid to work extra on Labor Day because they're not here able to enjoy a beautiful parade here in Newtown.
They are not second-class citizens. They do life-saving work, and they need to be there. They need the staff. They need to be recognized. They need to have a voice so that there is patient care over hospital profits.
Join us in urging Western Connecticut Health Network's leadership to reach a fair agreement with the hospital's techs and therapists who are there for us, and put patients before profits.
Patients before profits.
I want to introduce you. This is John Brady from AFT, right?
Right.
And Dan Carter, our Republican representative from Ridgefield, right?
Bethel, Danbury,
from
Reading, and
Bethel.
Newtown. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, and Dan's a conservative, and he's a gentleman because, to be nice enough to come on the show. And guys, what we want to try to do here is, it's pretty simple. We want to try to get to the bottom of really what's going on. The average guy that's sitting home. Like, I'm sitting home and I'm saying to myself, what are they talking? Who's getting cut? Why are they getting cut? Where's the money going? What's going on? And so hopefully, would one of you guys like to start off and try to explain? And guys, don't forget, we have call-ins.
Like, where do we start?
Well, I don't know. When the average guy that sees the commercial at home, what's he supposed to think? Is Malloy trying to screw everybody? Where's the money?
Well, obviously, the governor's not out to screw people. That's not their intention. It's all about how people are balancing budgets. And there are definitely multifacets to what's going on. From the governor's side, or I would say the political side, the hospitals, and I'll speak about Danbury Hospital, has taken a pretty substantial hit with respect to taxes and things like that over the last couple of years. Give you an example. I think last year they paid somewhere in the neighborhood of $31 million in taxes. This year they're looking to pay about $55 million in taxes. And that's from a bunch of different things that have happened over the last couple of years, everything from property tax to withholding of what we normally reimburse. So they're looking at being in a place where they're not going to make money this year. And last time they were probably around a 3% margin, which is pretty normal. I mean, they're big dollars, but that's their side of the issue. And obviously the unions are looking for better pay and benefits for their union members, which is their job. And that's what you're hearing on the radio right now.
Yeah, because I'll tell you, when I went to, I have some issues, so I went and had blood drawn again today. Oh, speaking of getting blood drawn, I go to the hospital, and the girl's getting ready to take my blood. And I said, older woman, and I said to her, can you tell me what's going on with the hospital? And she goes, what do you mean what's going on? I said, I don't know. I've been watching the commercials. Malloy wants to cut it, and the other people want to save. I said, what's going on? She goes, it's the Democrats. And God's honest truth. She took my blood pressure, 177. And I get my blood pressure taken like once a week. And I'm usually like in the low hundreds. And I said, man, these conservatives are going to kill me.
Well, I don't look at it as being, they're not necessarily the same issue. I mean, I don't think. I mean, obviously, we're having the budget stuff happen right now where, we are in the hole in the state and we're looking for ways to fill that hole. And Malloy has decided to go after the hospitals because that looks like where the money is, which we can debate that part. And on the other hand, it's time for the contracts for the unions. So it's not like these two issues just happen to be like fighting each other. I look at it as two separate things because the unions are up for a contract. It's the worst timing you could imagine with the other side, with the hospitals getting cut. So it's quite the battle going on right now. And you can speak to more of the inside of what's happening with the union members.
Sure, and I'm no expert in finances. I mean, until a couple of months ago, I was working in a trauma bay at Bacchus Hospital, where I worked for 21 years. The contract talks that are going on now are for a first contract.
I'm gonna tell these people just to hold. If you could just hold on for a second. You there?
Yes.
Okay.
So the contract talks that are going on now are for a first contract for the therapist and the technicians. They voted to join the union, to form a union a year ago. And they're fighting to get a voice. They're not fighting for higher pay. They're fighting to have a voice so they can advocate for their patients.
So they're not in a union now?
They are in a union now.
They are?
They do not have a contract yet because this is the first contract campaign.
So are they asking for outrageous?
No, they're asking for basically boilerplate language that has been in the registered nurse contract for 35 years. Things that have worked well, a grievance procedure that the nurses have had for 35 years that has resulted in very few cases ever going to arbitration. It hasn't been a big burden on the hospital. The hospital's not even agreeing even to those boilerplate issues.
Why?
Well, they're trying to drag it out. They hope that by dragging, and this is common, they hope that by dragging out negotiations that the workers who voted in favor of joining together to form a single voice will think, oh, this hospital, this system is too big to fight. And they will give up the fight. And they will walk away and dissolve their union, which they have the right to do. And the hospital has nothing to lose by dragging this out, and that's the reason they do that. Now, as far as the finances, I do know that the corporation that owns Danbury Hospital is profitable. I think $350 billion last year. I know that the top 2 paid executives are among the top 8 paid hospital executives in the state. I know that the hospital has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars dragging out negotiations, using patient care dollars for expensive lawyers, having them in a hotel rather than in the hospital, so that way they don't recognize and respect the workers. all of these things cost a lot of money. That is patient care dollars. That is money that comes in from the state, from the federal government, from people's insurance into the hospital and has to be put out there either in these salaries or in wasting this money fighting their own workers. Workers who just want to have a voice. I come from this perspective of being a registered nurse. And I know that when you go to nursing school, and it's the same for technicians and therapists, your number one job is to advocate for your patients. You cannot advocate for your patients if you cannot speak freely without fear of being reprimanded. And that's what they're fighting for. That's the fundamental right that they're fighting for. It's the fundamental right they have under the Constitution.
So it's not so much a question of money.
We have not got to the point of money yet.
Oh.
They will be willing to accept something reasonable. They don't want to put an undue burden on this hospital financially. They want something that shows the hospital respects them financially, that the hospital, to be honest, has to pay a certain amount or people will leave and go to other hospitals. So that's not usually a big issue with healthcare workers, with techs, therapists, and nurses. It might be more with healthcare workers who are the unlicensed people in the hospital.
Well, is the caller still there?
Yes,
Thank you for being patient.
That's okay. I have a lot of patience.
So does the hospital.
My question is, in wanting to negotiate a contract, who are they actually negotiating the contract with? It's not really Danbury Hospital because Danbury Hospital is part of a network. Are they dealing contracts with the network? I mean, how does the flow of people in charge of people in charge of people in the layers are just growing within the network, so that you have everybody from the corporate people through the hospitals, through medical groups, through orthopedists, now to home care, the whole thing. Who do people negotiate their contracts with? That's my first question, because I haven't been able to find out.
Okay.
Well, thank
you.
You know, that's an issue when community hospitals become parts of larger systems. It is hard to know. Quite often, the control, which was once in the community by the board, is now by a regional board. So it is hard to know, and quite often if somebody from the network isn't at the table, then the people at the table have to bring it back to those people for yeses or nos. So there's no clear-cut answer to that.
So so it seems that the is the hospital a corporation? Is that?
Well, the Western, I don't know if it's actually incorporated or not. I mean, Western Connecticut Health Network, obviously is a big network now. I mean, they've taken on Norwalk, they've taken on the Milford hospitals, they've had Danbury. And part of that, remember, is response to the Accountable Care Organization. I mean, that's what we're doing, is because it's about controlling access to care. That's why these hospitals are getting together the way they are. I don't know that it's a corporation, but I'll set something straight. You talk about who's telling the truth with what Malloy said earlier. The $1 billion she's referring to isn't really quite $1 billion. $300 million of that was the buyout of Norwalk onto Danbury Hospital, which was basically a paper transaction. There was no real profit there. $500 million of that was given from the state to UConn to keep UConn afloat. So there's $800 million. And then the rest, actually $700 million, the rest might be parts of profit from the hospitals across the whole state. The point is, hospitals are not as profitable as everybody says they are. Because if you really look at the dollars, they didn't make huge profits. And with the cuts that have happened this year, they're all getting squashed pretty significantly. Now, I say that because this is going to be a tough year, I think, for these contract negotiations. I feel for the people in the hospital who want a more voice. Now, on the other side, I've heard that they're looking for raises, like basically more money than what they're making now with their first contract. I don't have any data to back that up because it's not there yet. You know what I mean? It's not out in public. These negotiations happen behind closed doors. I mean, I can ask people.
Actually, the negotiations do not take place behind doors. They are open negotiations. Yeah. Everybody is welcome. They're going on right now as we speak over at the Ethan Allen Hotel, and we actually encourage and promote all the members
I'm
to show
told they're
up.
looking for more money in the first contract than they get now.
They-
And that's going to be tough. Listen, I feel for them because it's very, very difficult climate. That's why this, for the unions, I think this corporate campaign that they're doing, basically going out to the community and trying to encourage people to go after the hospital. I mean, that's what this corporate campaign's about. That's why you do it. And they're going to stick with their side, just like the hospitals are going to go out, or the hospital association, and go with their side, which is what we saw. They're going to focus on the cuts, and the unions are going to focus on trying to get more for the people and saying it's quality care, things like that. And somewhere the truth is going to be in the middle.
Actually, a year ago, these same employees got a 2% raise, which by today's standards is not bad. And I can't speak for them because I'm not on the negotiation team. All of our locals are autonomous. They make their own decisions. They decide what is okay and what is not okay. From what I understand, a 2% raise would be in the ballpark that they'd be looking for. It's not about money. It's about having a voice to advocate for patient cares. When the decision to unionize is a really tough decision. It means you're going up against the boss. It's scary. I went through this 4 years ago. And healthcare people are not the same as people in other industries. And I can show you one example. We went to visit people in their houses when we were talking at Bacchus Hospital about whether we should organize or not. And we visited one house. It was the house, and I'll never forget this, the house of an oncology nurse. Now, she takes care of people with cancer all day long. And we tried to talk to her about the pension they had taken away before we were unionized. We tried to talk about the shift differentials, the weekend differentials, which have been cut. Some of the same things that have happened over here in Western Connecticut.
So the weekend differentials have been cut?
I'm talking about at Bacchus.
Oh, okay.
When we were organizing. And those things were of interest to her because they affected her family, but it wasn't enough to move her to stand up against the boss. That scary thing of standing up against the boss. And then at one point in the conversation, I remember I was sitting in a chair and she was sitting across from me on the couch, and she got real quiet and she looked down at the floor, and her husband was sitting on the side of her and he grabbed her hand. So I knew it was something they had spoken about. And when she lifted her head and she looked right at me, and she had tears in her eyes, and she said, "John, they took away my peanut butter." When they got done taking away from the employees, they started taking away from the patients. And they took the peanut butter away that she would put on crackers and give to her patients who had received chemotherapy all day long. If they had a brief period in the evening where maybe they could tolerate food, and that way she would get some protein into them. She said, this should not happen in a Connecticut hospital. And she was dead on right. Now, I'm not saying they took the peanut butter away at Danbury Hospital. What I'm saying is, this is what motivates these techs and these therapists. Not the money. What motivates them is advocating for the patients, for having patient care dollars go to taking care of these patients, not paying over $1 million in salary and bonuses, and not wasting money on trying to keep them from their voice that they are guaranteed by the Constitution.
Yeah, it's, I have a chart up here. Judy, I didn't mean to be rude by looking up at the computer, but Judy, when you get a chance, can you bring up still number 17? And
it's worth mentioning that, I've looked into this too, because I'm a conservative. And I think there's a market out there for people who are smart enough to go take on these large institutions and be CEOs and such. In Connecticut, right now they get paid about half as much as some of the other hospital CEOs get paid across the state or the country.
Really?
Yeah, it's not as, $1 million is it's a lot of money, obviously. And you got to be pretty bright. He is the CEO of Danbury.
So you mean there's people
neurologist or something?
More corrupt than the people that live here?
But here's the question. You got to decide at home whether you think that if somebody makes $1 million, they're corrupt or they're a bad human being, or if it's the market that allows them to do that. And you know what? If we even stripped all those guys of what they're making, it's not going to make up the $50 million.
If the market permits something like that, the market needs to change. And look at what Pfizer did today. Just today, Pfizer moved its operations to Ireland. Why? So that the shareholders could make 5% more money. So now, because hold on. It's 25% tax in the United States.
35%.
Well, they were paying 25.
35% is what it is.
Who pays 35%?
It's 35%
Nobody.
in the U.S. and it's 12%
GE didn't pay a
over there.
penny.
It's 35% here. It's 12% in Ireland.
It's 35.
I'm not saying I totally agree with it.
The law is 35%.
Yeah.
How much do they pay?
But if
how much do they pay? Case closed.
I don't watch how much they pay each company, but 35% here, 12% Ireland.
Dan,
what would you do?
What's 35% of nothing? Nothing.
What would you do?
Nothing.
If you were,
I would make them pay. That's
no.
What
I'm talking about
would
what would you do if it was your company?
If it was my company, If it was my company, I'd say, you know what? We've been using the roads. We've been using the infrastructure.
We've been paying for it.
How are you paying for it if you're not paying taxes?
Pfizer's been paying taxes for years.
You know,
they all pay taxes.
They're supposed to pay taxes.
Listen,
What do you?
We can go sit down and find out how much property taxes Pfizer pays in Connecticut.
Well, let's just get to the point.
It's a lot of money. But
the point is, they moved their operations to Ireland.
Well, they will in 2016.
And what did the Foxtitude?
Oh, by the way,
hold on. What did the Foxtitude on Fox News say today? He said, you know, the corporation did the right thing. They maximized their profits.
But you know what? They didn't. They're actually not moving anything there. It's basically they're saying they're moving their headquarters there, but everything stays in place here.
It's all about the money.
Of course it's
and
about
guess
the
what?
money.
And not only do the shareholders benefit, who pays when they don't pay? You and I do.
What do you mean when they don't pay what?
When they're not paying taxes anymore in this country.
Let's talk about hospitals.
Well, you know, this is what the corporate greed is what makes me mashugana. And you know why this is allowed to happen. It makes me crazy, and that's why I do this show. I used to think everything in this country was on the up and up. I used to think we played on a level playing field. I used to think everything was fair, until I find out about the lobbyists and the people that pay to buy the government of the United States, the Koch brothers.
Hey, both sides pay.
What's that?
Both sides pay. All sides pay.
But
I mean, AFT gave $250,000 to Malloy for his campaign. Everybody pays.
So isn't it time we stop that? Isn't the foolishness supposed to stop?
I'd be doing that in a heartbeat. I don't think anybody who's a politician should take any money from any kind of PAC.
Where do you get? Do you get your money?
I get my money from individuals in my community.
Okay.
And that's it.
And how much did you spend last year?
We spent $31,000.
$31,000. Okay.
That's what I spent. And the thing is, you look at these elections and how big they get, especially in Congress and the federal seats. People should be giving money from individuals only. No PACs, no unions, no corporations, nobody. It should be the individual. I would do that in a heartbeat if I could do it. But I'm a state rep.
You heard it here first.
I'll vote for that in a heartbeat. It's ridiculous.
That's what you got to vote for Bernie. That's what he wants to do.
Tell you what, I happen to agree with him on a couple things he does. But
wait a minute.
I know, right? Anyway,
right.
It's back to what we're
doing. Let's get back to the.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the taxes on Pfizer, but I don't believe that.
Another call. You ready?
Go ahead.
You're on Who's Telling the Truth?
Yes, I have another question.
We're here.
And it's for both of the gentlemen there. One who is in Hartford.
You too.
And the other who is part of the hospital system. It appears now, with the phone calls I have received, that there's, because of the Affordable Care Act, in order to, quote, save money, there is now a system by which you cannot directly make an appointment with your doctor. You must go through a screening process. And one of the worst complainers this week was a woman. She's been under care for her whole life because of a genetic bone disease. She's always been able to call her orthopedist. Now that he is a member of the health network, she must go through a screening process, and it's been 10 weeks. She still hasn't seen her doctor. That's how they're cutting costs, and that's why they don't care if people strike. They don't care if people complain about wages. They're going to need less and less of these people who work for a wage because they're screening out the patients. But in my case and my litigation that's coming to court in February, we caught them cooking the books. They were found guilty of Medicare fraud, and I went after them. So, Rich, I am on your side. You do criticize me a lot, but my litigation finally has taken 2.5 years. We come to court in February.
So did you say you were on my side? Did she say that?
I think she said that.
I think she's on your side.
Yeah, I think she said that.
What is she? Sometimes I really think there is a God. All right, but Judy, can we bring up that chart I wanted to show? Number 17, please. Because I want you to take a look at this graph. And
No 17. Try again.
Okay. All right. I don't want to stop everything over here.
Tell me the name of it, what it says.
It's the graph that shows the union membership rates decrease, middle class income shrink.
I'll look for it.
Okay? And guys, you could see, if you look at the chart, you could see from back in 1960 when unionship was about 30% down to now, where union membership is about 15%. And look. And this is all thanks to the Republicans, right to work states. Right to work for less, guys.
All that drop was right to work states? I have to go look at that.
Give me my freedom. I want the freedom to make less money. I want to put more money in the Koch brothers' pockets. You're on.
Yeah. Close the loopholes for the corporations and charge them double for importing back into the country tax-wise. Charge them without the price of the whatever they're importing, jacking up the price.
Sounds like a plan to me.
That's close the loopholes, and when they try to re-import it back in, they can't raise the price, but you tax them double. See how fast they'll come back home.
Hey, thanks for your call. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Take care, buddy. I don't know. What do you do?
I don't know. Maybe we should just take 100% of their profits and put them all out of business.
Well, maybe we should go. Maybe we should go back. Let's go back.
Whoa! You sound like a conservative.
No. Yeah. Well, no. Really. Let's go back. Let's go back to the '60s, when Eisenhower and the Republican Party ruled, and we built all the highways and the infrastructure, and the top tax rate in the country was, guess what? 90%. And you know what? Nobody minded paying it because they were happy to be here. And you know what? Back in the 60s, you only needed one parent to work to support a family because people cared about each other. And what's happening now is all the money's going to the top. When you have a CEO of a... Now, let's think about this now. That CEO made $1.5 million, right? 40-hour work week, 50 hours a week, 2,000 hours divided into 1 million, 1.5. How much money is that? An hour.
It's a lot of money.
And we let people get away with this? Why? Why?
Did you do the job?
No, because the shareholders let them. And how do we compensate the shareholders? By moving the companies out of the country. Hey, shareholders, you did a great job. Thanks for saving us all the money. Can you put more money? And this is what's making me crazy.
Well, you're looking at the wrong people. I mean,
Who am I supposed to look
it's
at?
your government driving them out of the country.
It's
your government driving them out of the country.
It's Obama's fault, right?
No, it's everybody's fault who keep doing that and putting them in the position where these corporations, it's more advantageous for them to move.
There you go. It's more advantageous. But you know what?
But you know what? Listen. We live in a free country and we have free markets. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And there are some people who are going to do really, really well. And if you look at the numbers, they're this much of the population. So I don't have a lot of time to sit there and just point my finger and blame them, saying they're at fault for everybody's problems. For me, I look at it and I look at it as objectively as I can. And I see a lot of things happening on both sides that we can fix right here in Connecticut and right here in Danbury Hospital. So it's not Chris Murphy's fault that all this is going on at the hospital and that they're having a hard time making money. It's not it. this is two sides using everything they can to get what they want in the middle. And that's where the truth is. That's all I'm saying. So let's focus on Danbury Hospital. Let's
So how do we
focus on
stop this? How do we stop this nonsense?
with Danbury Hospital?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, number one, I don't think we should put them in a financial situation with looking to balance the state's budget on their back. I think that was ludicrous. I mean, that's, we have to make structural changes to our state's budget so the hospitals can at least, do what they do and take care of patients and do well and not have to cut programs. And then they have the opportunity to negotiate with the unions and try to find out what works best for their hospitals and help pay their people more. Because you know what? If they pay people well at Danbury Hospital, we're going to get the best people in the state working at Danbury Hospital. And I'm for that. That makes a lot of sense to me. But right now, the state has put Danbury in a situation, Malloy specifically, has put them in a situation where everybody's hurting, the hospital and the union. So that's the way I see it.
So I want to be clear about this. I think that hospitals do need help financially. I think different hospitals need different help financially. We represent workers at 10 different hospitals in Connecticut. I know AFT is a strange thing for people that represent hospital workers because it's American Federation of Teachers.
It sounds funny.
I always wondered about that too.
But we represent people in education, people in healthcare, and people in public service.
Professionals, right? And the tagline, professionals.
Yes, yeah. Union professionals. And we represent everybody from, in the hospital, the registered nurses, down to the people, the healthcare workers who might cook the food and disinfect the rooms. So from top to bottom, and the same thing in schools, from teachers through paraprofessionals and secretaries. So some of our employees are the people who are making, in some hospitals, $12 an hour. They're not all the registered nurses. So we represent some hospitals that are distressed. Day Kimball Hospital we don't represent, but they're distressed. Johnson Memorial Hospital we do represent, they're distressed. So there are some hospitals in the state definitely need some money put back, okay? And the governor did put some back into some of them. He could do some more, and we're not in 100% agreement about which hospitals need the money back. But there are other hospitals that are doing very well. The Hartford Healthcare hospitals are doing very well. The Western Connecticut Health Network hospitals are doing very well. Lawrence Memorial Hospital in New London is doing very well financially. They can absorb some of that and help out the other ones.
How would the...
I also, so I don't forget, Rich, I'm sorry. I also think that if a hospital is doing the right thing, then that should be rewarded. I think we can agree on that. No, so what is the right thing in my mind? I think the right thing is paying your executives a salary and compensation package that makes sense. I think it is using dollars that come from all these sources that are meant for patient care to be used for patient care, not overpaying people, and certainly not hiring union busters, consultants who come into a hospital to intimidate workers like they did with the healthcare workers this past summer who wanted to form a union, and they hired these people, 2 of which had criminal records.
Get out of here. Serious?
And intimidate the workers so that they would be intimidated not to vote for the union. The charges were so serious that the United States government put them on trial, the hospital, the network, and found them guilty and reversed the decision of the election, and they will have a new election early in December. That happens in about 2% of all elections for unions.
So wait. So they had a couple of goons come in? Is that what you're telling me?
And they had access to patient care areas so that they could speak to the workers. So that's fine. Listen. No, wait a minute. They have a right to express their opinion that they do not want their workers to be unionized. That's fine. They have a right. They have opportunities to that. They can bring them all to meetings and make them come to meetings. We call them captive audience meetings.
So this is public information that they were on trial and that they reversed the election, the union election, because of this finding?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the NLRB.
Yeah.
We can look it up.
I'm going to. I'm going to.
And the election is scheduled for December 11th. The hospital appealed it once, lost the appeal, and the hospital is appealing it now to the NLRB in Washington. Mm-hmm. And because of that, they would like to push it off some more.
Well, I want to hear about the trial in the goons. That's what I'm going to go look up because I want to hear that part. But I will say that it's my understanding that the Western Connecticut Health System is not doing that great. Like they made margin last year, but this year it's not so much. I mean, they're not going to make money this year, so they're not some big profitable thing.
The last reported,
what it is.
The last reported income was that they were profitable. I mean,
last year.
I don't have access to their books for this year.
No,
I only have access to what they have to provide to the state.
And that's what I'm saying. From what I've seen, what they've provided, they were probably working on a 3% margin last year, which was about on par with every other hospital that's a nonprofit or something.
I mean, if they'd like to let us all sit down and look at the books as of today,
the books are public. We can go look at them together.
Okay.
Can you explain this to me? How does a nonprofit make a profit?
Well, when nonprofits make profits, usually what they're doing is they're taking those profits and putting it back in the institution. They're putting it back in. You look like a Danbury Hospital, for instance. They had major expansion, building the building. All those things come from capital funds. So tons of endowments and donations and that kind of money, borrowing money, and then when there are things left over like profits, that's what they invest in, so they can build up the institution and make it more profitable and serve more patients.
So even though they're considered nonprofit, they still make a profit, but the profit goes back into
it is what's supposed to happen. I mean, and they're supposed to make themselves as competitive as possible. And listen, Danbury, I've been following Western Connecticut for a long time, and they've been doing all the right things with respect to trying to become an accountable care organization. I mean, they've been on the front end of a lot of the stuff with Obamacare, trying to do the right stuff. And right now, I'm saying I know they're not as profitable as they once were, and that's because of what's happening to the state side. And right now, this is going to be a very difficult thing. I know people want to do more with the union. I'm watching. I'm not in either side. I'm watching, but it's going to be very difficult for everybody, I think, over the next couple of years.
But how do you say that we need more money when the money they have is being used in activities like hiring union busters, or stretching out negotiations where you won't even agree to
my personal opinion, and I'm not involved in that because I don't work for the hospital.
Right.
All right. A lot of this is part of that corporate campaign. That's what people do. You go out, you try to make the hospital look as bad as possible, and you try to get people on your side to help the union effort. That's what they do. And I'm listening to a lot of the stuff being thrown around. I don't agree with all of it, but I also don't know what's true and what's not. In the Air Force, they used to call it separating the chaff from the flare. I don't know. So, yeah, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and advocate for anybody hiring union busters or intimidating anybody. But I also wasn't there to see that or involved. I mean, I'm a state legislator. I try to listen to all sides and make up my mind. Obviously, I'm conservative, and I've been around long enough to hear both sides of the argument. I'm not in this fight that way.
Right.
But I'll tell you, my part of the fight is making sure that the hospitals can do as well as they can, so the unions and the employees can negotiate. Because guess what? If the unions can't negotiate because of what else we're doing on this side, it's making it much more difficult for everybody.
Oh, I agree.
And that will end up hurting both of us because it'll cut programs in the community. Things where we want to expand and we want to be able to go out to the community and form more programs. We're not going to be able to do that. And that's the real tragedy at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. And we have had situations, Johnson Memorial is one of the situations where our employees, our union members actually gave back money because they knew that their hospital was suffering. And it does no good to the community if the hospital goes out of business, right?
Right, everybody's hurt. Sure.
And I mean, you should look it up. I believe that
this will be
many
fun.
I believe that many people do not realize that the hospital was put on, the NLRB did put them on trial, and that they were found guilty, and that's why there's a new election.
Listen, I will be glad to go look it up. And I'll hear when you talk about like what I'm thinking in my head. Number one, I want to find out if it's really a trial. Was it a hearing that the NLRB said, hey, these guys got to get dragged together? That's not a trial. I want to know. I also want to know exactly like these people with criminal records and what that was about. And I'm dying to know.
The terms used at the NLRB are not the terms used in a civil court, but it was the hospital and the workers presenting their case to the hearing officer with witnesses under oath.
Sure.
And the federal government makes a ruling on whether or not there was a fair election.
I would be more than happy to go look that up. I'm not taking it. Listen, I've been in this long enough to know that I hear the spin done from everybody. I mean, that's why you do this show. Everybody has spin.
Yeah.
You know, and I hear politicians out there touting about what's going on in the hospitals and supporting, when they're the same ones who voted to put them in that situation. So I get it. I see all sides. So I'm very happy to look that up. I mean, this isn't about you and me. It's about the hospital.
Right, right. Now, I do think that you know, and this is something that you guys can work on in the next legislative session, is to work on, you know, the funding for hospitals to not be the same across the board, for the hospitals that need the funding and the hospitals that are doing things correctly. And we can tie this into infection rates. We can tie this into readmission rates. We can tie it into a lot of things. We can tie it into anti-worker activity.
But also say this, at the end of the day, the people at Danbury Hospital, the employees, are responsible for doing good things at that hospital. Unions, non-union. I know they just got another JCO award recently, Danbury Hospital. So I'm just saying the people there are doing a good job. They're professionals. They deserve to, you know, get paid for what they do.
I mean, they've also...
Let me just break this up. Judy, are you paying attention, kid? We're going to go out with clip number 11, which is Danbury Rising. And guys, I want to play this clip because they did such a beautiful job. And this shows the vigil that was held at
Danbury
the hospital.
Rising is a community
So
group.
Judy, let's run that clip now. And everybody, this was the vigil that was held a couple of weeks ago. And this is what really got me started, because it must have been on Facebook that I saw this and I got involved. But you'll enjoy this.
The Danbury Rising Coalition came together for a candlelight vigil to raise awareness of caregivers at Danbury and New Milford hospitals seeking a stronger voice in patient care.
Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Those people on your healthcare team, the people who wheel you in, the people who take your blood, the people who bring you your meals, the people who change your linens, the people who do the surgery and to help you heal, those people are the hands of God at work in this world.
Well, everyone needs to be a VIP in our hospital. You, your mother, me. I've been a patient at the hospital. We have one of our organizers in the hospital right now. She should be a VIP.
So all we are fighting for and asking the support of the community is for a fair contract to guarantee that it's all about patient care and employees as well.
So that's who we're here to fight for and to help.
You are fighting not only for yourself, you're fighting for your patient, and we are your patient.
Together we can forge an alliance that Western Connecticut Health Network can't ignore. We won't let them silence our voices.
Tonight, we will let them know that Danbury is rising, that Norwalk is united, and that we are stronger together.
It behooves us.
We're back.
All right, and we're back. So, guys, I want to thank our guest, John Brady. John.
Thank you,
and
Rich.
Dan Carter. Dan, for being a gentleman to come here and put up with the riffraff and all. No, because, I mean, you know, a lot of people would get up and walk away. You know what I mean?